Welcome back to the deep dive. Our job is to take that whole complex stack of source material, the raw data, the insider talk, and really pull out the story you need to hear. And today, we're stepping onto the ice. We're going right into that high-pressure cooker that is the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. Our focus is on what seems like a pretty straightforward mid-season staff change. I'm talking about the firing of assistant coach Mark Savard.
Yeah.
But what we found is that this one very targeted move has completely reshaped how accountability works inside that entire organization.
It really has.
The news on the surface is simple. Savard was let go because the team's power play, the very thing he was hired to fix, had just completely collapsed. We're talking historic failure.
Right.
But the surprise fallout, and this is what we're going to unpack in this deep dive, is that instead of calming things down, the move instantly pulled all the attention away from the bench. And it focused the spotlight squarely on the management structure, specifically on General Manager Brad Treliving.
Exactly, and that's why we have to go deeper than just the headline here. We're going to look at the undeniable statistics that really left management with no other choice. We'll get into the context of why they made this kind of internal fix instead of, say, a roster change. And crucially, what this decision really reveals about Treliving's whole strategy, in a market that is just demanding big, immediate results. This was never just about a coaching change. It was about shifting the pressure from the symptom to the people making the decisions. Okay, so let's unpack this collapse.
Right. The move to get rid of Savard, who had only been there since June 2024, it was purely about the numbers. It was a reaction.
A complete reaction.
The power play's performance just showed no signs of getting better. And we're not talking about a little slump you can just ride out. This was actively crippling their ability to win games.
And the cold, hard numbers? Well, they tell a story that's pretty unambiguous. At the time of the change, the Maple Leafs power play conversion rate was sitting at a shocking 13.3%.
13.3.
And to give you, the listener, the right context for that kind of failure, that ranked them dead last in the entire National Hockey League.
And this is where it just gets mind-boggling for me. I mean, they roll out a unit that has Auston Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, John Tavares. This is a murderer's row of offensive superstars. How is it even possible that this group performs worse than teams that, everyone agrees have way less talent?
It just doesn't add up, does it? The talent is undeniable, and you can prove that just by looking at the year before.
Yeah.
In the 2024-2025 season, with basically the same core guys, the Leafs power play finished at 24.8%.
Which was 9th in the league, a top 10 unit.
9th in the league. So that brutal drop from top 10 to the absolute bottom of the barrel in just 35 games, that's the pressure point. That's what forced management's hand.
And it wasn't just the failure rate, was it? The sheer volume of missed chances just made the problem worse, especially when you factor in the goals they were giving up.
Oh, absolutely. The overall production was just abysmal. Only 12 power play goals on 90 chances. That's over 35 games.
Yeah.
But the part that makes this failure so much worse, the tactical part, is the goals they allowed.
The shorties.
The team gave up 4 shorthanded goals against in that same stretch. So when you're giving up 4 goals while you're supposed to have the advantage, you're crippling team morale every single time you step on the ice with that extra skater.
And the timing of this collapse was so crucial. I mean, December is when playoff races really start to take shape.
That's right. For you, the fan watching at home, December is kind of a barometer month. And in December alone, the Leafs scored just 2 power play goals on 27 tries.
Wow.
They had a road trip in there where they went 0 for 10, just handing points to the other teams. And given that the team was, sitting near the bottom of the Atlantic, 5 points out of a wild card spot, they were out of time. They couldn't wait for things to just magically get better.
So action was needed. And the action they took was surgically targeted. Savard's job was clear. He ran them at advantage. Structure, zone entries, all of it.
Yeah.
So his removal was basically management saying, officially, that the system being taught was the central problem that needed to be fixed right now.
And what's so fascinating here is what that decision didn't touch. That very targeted move, it immediately created this visible contrast that just lit up the public debate and completely shifted the story.
Let's talk about that contrast.
Yeah.
Because management adjusted the system by firing the coach.
Right.
But the guys executing that system, Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Tavares, they were completely untouched. They fired the playbook coordinator but kept all the highly paid actors.
And that's the thing, right? By leaving that core untouched, management was basically saying, we believe the talent is here, the instruction was the flaw. And the public reaction was, well, it was immediate. A lot of fans, a lot of commentators started questioning the scope of the fix. Was it really just one assistant coach's fault?
The word scapegoat was just everywhere, online, in all the commentary. It created this perception that this was a limited, kind of surface-level fix for deeper problems.
Deeper roster problems, maybe?
Right. Problems that maybe management was unwilling or maybe even unable to address.
And that narrative really gained steam because of the silence. Savard himself didn't speak publicly after he was fired.
Nothing. No statement, no counter-narrative.
No deflection. And his silence, maybe he didn't mean for it to happen, but it kept the focus squarely on the management that decided he was the one problem that needed solving. The burden of proof just shifted right back to the front office.
So now let's turn that spotlight onto General Manager Brad Treliving. He oversees all of it. Hockey ops, roster, coaching hires. Our sources say Treliving's been defined by a kind of cautious approach since he took over. He favors stability, internal fixes over big, flashy in-season trades. And the Savard firing fits that pattern perfectly. Change the structure, but don't touch the foundation.
And if you connect that to the, the unique pressure of the Toronto market, that patience, or what some people see as cautiousness, is what's being questioned now. Treliving's tenure is still pretty new, and this move, because it was so self-contained, it put his entire strategy right under the brightest light.
Right.
For you, the knowledgeable listener, you know that in Toronto, there's always this pressure to make a huge franchise-altering move when things go south. Treliving's stability play, it now looks less like confidence and more like maybe an unwillingness to disrupt his own roster.
And that takes us to Treliving's public statement after the firing. He had to say something. He knew the pressure was on. So he responded by taking one massive piece right off the board. The job status of head coach Craig Berube. He publicly secured his position, said, "I support Craig fully." Unequivocally.
That statement was the pivot point. By locking in the head coach, Treliving dramatically narrowed the zone of acceptable failure. He said accountability was shared, sure. He said the players have responsibility and this doesn't absolve anybody. But by protecting Berube, he functionally shielded everyone above him and his main guy.
The implication of doing that is just immense, though. He basically took the roster he has, endorsed the head coach, and now has declared the failure is about execution and system design.
Both of which fall squarely under his domain as manager.
Exactly. Did he really have another choice besides publicly backing his coach?
Well, he had to manage the narrative, for sure. But by being so explicit, he defined the terms of failure from that moment on. When you avoid trades, fire just one assistant, and publicly back your head coach. You put your reputation on the line. You're saying, this is our strategy, we believe in it. If that power play doesn't turn around, the failure instantly goes from being a system problem to a personnel problem, or worse, a management problem.
So let's look at the immediate on-ice response to all this. Assistant coach Derek Lalonde was given the power play duties internally.
Right.
Management chose to keep it in-house, a change of voice, rather than rush out and hire someone new.
And what stands out right away is the result of that next game. A 6-3 win over Pittsburgh. It snapped a losing streak.
A huge sigh of relief for the organization, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. And you saw William Nylander break an 11-game goal drought. He had 2 goals, 2 assists. That offensive explosion, it temporarily silenced a lot of the critics.
But the core issue, the very thing that got Savard fired in the first place, the power play, he was still tested in that game. And what happened?
The problem was still there. Our sources confirm, yeah, the team won big, but the power play unit went 0 for 2.
So, unresolved. The critical issue that triggered the whole thing was not fixed in the first test.
Not at all.
This means the judgment clock is still ticking. That win, it was a nice little reprieve, but Treliving's choice to back Berube means power play results are now the only thing that matters.
That's the only remaining measure.
Every penalty, every man advantage going forward, it carries weight not just for the scoreboard, but for how Treliving's entire strategy of stability is going to be judged.
And this is why the insider warning started immediately. You heard from analysts like Elliot Friedman, who cautioned that if this inconsistency keeps up, win one, lose one, power play is hit or miss, the Maple Leafs could be headed for, and this is the quote, very uncomfortable conversations.
And you, the listener, know that phrase doesn't mean friendly chat.